Hi there and welcome to this complete Instagram for business breakdown video. In today's video, we're going to be tackling everything from what types of content you can be posting on Instagram to what to post, when and where. We'll also handle some Instagram bio tips, basically everything that you need to know to grow your business on Instagram in 2022. So before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get updates on future videos, and then grab a pen and paper because this is really going to be in depth and you might want to take some notes along the way, or click the save button so that you can come back to this video later on when you need it. If you are new to this channel, my name is Joko de Sert. I'm the founder of Unbound Creative Agency, where we help entrepreneurs launch and scale profitable personal brands. All right, so first we're going to take a look at the different types of content that you can be posting on Instagram, and then later on we'll give examples of exactly what that can be. So first up is your feed. Now, your feed is what people see when they come to your profile. So this is really where you make a first impression. What do you want people to know about you in the first 3 or 4 seconds? That's the type of content that you would be posting on your feed. It is somewhat your digital business card, so to say. You can post either graphics or images or videos up to 60 seconds directly on your feed. Then the next type of content is stories. Stories are a little bit less polished. They can be either images or videos up to 15 seconds. And of course, you can make a sequence out of them. A lot of people say that stories are videos up to 15 seconds, but you can also share images and put text over it. The interesting thing about stories is that they only last for 24 hours. So when you come to the application, at the top, you'll see the colored circles around people's profile pictures. That means that they have posted a story in the last 24 hours. This also means that you can share some content that is less curated than on your feed. Then another type of content that you can post on Instagram are Instagram Reels. So when Instagram Reels first came to be, everyone sort of thought that Instagram was copying TikTok, because Reels are videos up to 60 seconds and they are vertical videos. So whenever someone's holding their phone like this, that is how the video will show up. So when Instagram first came out with that, everyone thought that it wouldn't really pick up because they were simply trying to copy TikTok. But on the contrary, Reels have become really popular, and they're also a great way to promote your channel, because Reels is something that people will just binge watch. And when you've been on Instagram and you've started watching a reel and then you scroll and scroll and scroll, all of a sudden you're watching content from creators that you are not following. This is really a great way for you to discover new people, but also to attract people to your profile. So Reels is something that you should heavily invest in now if you want to grow your profile rapidly. Then another video format that you can post on Instagram is IGTV. Now, IGTV is longer form video content, so anywhere from 60 seconds up to 10 minutes. Unless you are verified, which means that you have the blue check mark, then you can post up to 60 minutes. But let's say the majority of us can post up to 10 minutes of video. This is really more in-depth content that you want to share with your audience. Another form of content that I do want to mention, although I wouldn't necessarily say that it is a separate form of content, but it is there, so let's mention it. It's highlights. So this is basically where you use stories that you want to last for longer than 24 hours. So as I said, stories normally only last for 24 hours and then they disappear completely. If you do have certain stories that you want to display on your profile for longer than 24 hours, you can do so, and you can store them or archive them under a specific highlight. And we'll touch upon what kind of stories that you should be saving on your profile under highlights in the next part of this video. And then the final form of content that you can post on Instagram is Instagram Lives. So this sort of speaks for itself. This is a live video on Instagram where you use your Instagram profile to go live, and your followers will get a notification and they can join the video, watch the video while you're going live. They can ask questions, leave comments, etc. And there is a possibility to later on post that live to your Instagram profile. Lives can last up to 4 hours. So that is really long form content. The interesting thing about that is, of course, that when you go live, your followers will get a notification saying, hey, this person is now going live with a video. So that might gain you some traction as well. In this part of the video, we're going to take a look at what exactly to post in these different locations, in these different content forms, and when to post it as well. So first up, let's discuss the feed. So the feed, as I said, is your digital business card. You can use either images or videos up to 60 seconds. Now, if you're using Instagram as a business or as an entrepreneur to build your personal brand, as a coach to attract clients, you want your feed to be the perfect mix of sort of business content and then content that shows more about either the behind the scenes of your business or you as a person if you're building a personal brand. So it needs to be a perfect mix, and I would say 80-20. So 80% should be about business and how your business can help people. If you're a coach, this is tips and tricks, frequently asked questions, carousels explaining a certain topic that your ideal client is wanting an answer to. And then 20% can be things that you're passionate about, your family, your lifestyle. Now, in no means do I say that you have to share your family, you have to share your friends. That's not what I'm saying. If you don't want to, you don't have to do that. There are plenty of entrepreneurs out there that have a great personal brand without ever sharing anything of their personal lives. Just thinking about Gary Vee as an example. But people do relate with people more easily than they relate with a business concept. So it would be in your favor if you can put the personal back into personal brand and have people actually relate with you. If you're a mindset entrepreneur, but you're also really like going for hikes in nature or working out, that's something that you could share, and that might actually be more relatable for people than only seeing you do videos and explaining mindset stuff or sharing carousels on how to have the best morning routine, for example. If you are a brick and mortar business and you're using Instagram to really build a business profile, what I would advise you to do is 80% of that content should still be with your ideal customer in mind. What problems does my ideal customer have? How can I solve them? Again, tips and tricks, frequently asked questions, pros and cons of a certain thing, reviews, but then also behind the scenes footage. This is really going to be your friend if you're a brick and mortar business and you're not necessarily trying to build a personal brand around just one employee or one board member. You're going to want to show your team. You're going to want to show the human aspect of your business because, again, people connect with human beings. They don't necessarily connect only with a product or only with a service that you have to offer. So that is definitely a tip for your feed. Make sure that it is 80-20. So 80% offering value around your area of expertise or around the products and services that you offer. And then 20% behind the scenes stuff, things that you're passionate about, your actual life as an entrepreneur, your life as a business owner, your life as a coach, so that people can relate to you as a person instead of just to the products or services that you have to offer. Then in your stories, what you want to be sharing is really behind the scenes content, on the job content, stuff of your daily life. Now, I do want to sort of caution people here because what we see a lot with personal brands is like your feed is really on point, you're sharing a lot of value, and then in your stories, you're basically sharing everything you eat and everyone you meet and all that. So that isn't necessarily needed to build your personal brand. It might even sort of take away from that. What I would advise you to do is focus on 5 main topics that you talk about or share about. So if, let's say, you are an entrepreneur and you're building your personal brand, so of course you're going to be talking about business, probably about mindset, and then you still have sort of 3 things left that you can be talking about. If you're really passionate about working out, add that to it. If you are really passionate about travel, add that to it. If you're really passionate about reading or anything like that, you can add that to it. If you are a foodie, if you're an entrepreneur and a foodie, then you can add food to that, but then be consistent with that as well. What I do advise you to sort of refrain yourself from is simply sharing everything. Every piece of content, even though stories is less curated than your feed, every piece of content you should still ask yourself, is this valuable to my audience? Is this adding something to the person consuming this content, right? So they last only for 24 hours, so you do have a little bit more of wiggle room here. You can really sort of play around with that because after 24 hours they disappear. But for sure, behind the scenes footage, if you go to events, if you speak somewhere, if your product got shared in an article, stuff like that, you can for sure share on your stories. Anything that is related to either you as a person or your product or your service can be shared in the stories. Then reels. These are really booming and it's a great way to grow your profile and also a great way just to show people more about your product, about you as a person if you are building a personal brand. because these videos are so easily consumable. They're really short, they're really to the point, and this is really a great way to interact with your audience and really build that trust factor with them. A couple of examples of content that you can create as reels is quick tips. You could answer a follower's question that you got in a DM and then answer it in an Instagram reel. You can show teasers of upcoming events. You can show unboxing of a new product. If your product is really easy to use, you can even use user-generated content. So asking your customers to create little reviews or little tutorials of how to use your products. It can be behind the scenes footage that is edited in a fun way. It can be YouTube teasers. If you are on YouTube as well, I would advise that you create short clips every time that you have a YouTube video come out, then post that to your Instagram to sort of drive traffic to that YouTube video as well. You can really play around with these. Reels are really fun and exciting ways to interact with your audience, so I would definitely advise you heavily invest on those. Now, when we're moving on to IGTV, I want to already say that I don't invest in IGTV, neither in Live. So I'm sort of gonna take those two together. So IGTV and Instagram Live are both long form video content where you can share a ton of value with your audience. That is not the issue, right? I'm all for long form video content, just not on Instagram. And here is why. Instagram doesn't have the search functionality or the search algorithm that YouTube has. So if you spend a lot of time creating videos for IGTV or going live for hours on end on Instagram, once that video is published on Instagram, your audience will not be able to find it simply by searching for it. They will be able to find it at the start because they will go to your profile and it will still be pretty high up in the feed. But once you start posting more and more content, that live video or IGTV video keeps getting pushed down and they will not be able to find it anymore. And then you've spent all that time creating that content for sort of a one-off. Whereas if you would create that same video on YouTube and optimize it for the YouTube algorithm and the search results, that video can still gain traction 5 years down the road. That will still gain views and leads and customers 5 years down the road. So for me, with IGTV and with Instagram Lives, I would urge you to consider YouTube instead. And you can still post a YouTube video in IGTV format to Instagram, and you can still post that YouTube video if you want to. I don't know why, but if you want to, you can post that in its entirety to Instagram as well. But I would not advise you to simply create videos for IGTV or go live for hours on end on Instagram, simply because that's a lot of effort that you're putting in a piece of content that then will not be watched years down the road, right? So that's why I would urge you to learn more about the YouTube search algorithm and leverage that in your favor. And if you do need help with that, that's of course something that we can help you with. So check out the description below for some free resources on how you can get started with that. Then a couple of examples of story highlights that you might want to be using. So as I said, highlights is what you use to store the stories that you want to keep on your Instagram profile for over the 24 hours that stories allow the videos to stay there, right? So these highlights is what you see when you go to someone's profile and on top of their feed, you'll see all these little circles, and these are stories that they want to save on their profile. So a couple of examples of highlights that you can be using is testimonials, behind the scenes, frequently asked questions. If you have a podcast icon. If you offer free tools or free training, add a highlight for that as well, and then add the stories relating to that topic in there as well. You can have checklists, some Monday motivation, events, community, and so on and so forth. I would advise that you stick to a limited amount of highlights. If you have like 20 highlights on your profile, that is a lot of information for people to go through. Would not advise you do that. What I would advise you do is that at any time that you can is convert people from Instagram onto your email list. So if Instagram one day decides to shut down your profile or you get locked out for whatever reason possible, you don't have any data on your followers. That Instagram does not allow you to track email addresses, contact details, etc. So you want to have more control over your audience, and the only way to do that is to convert an Instagram follower onto an email list. And the way to do that is by offering free tools, any sort of opt-in that they can give their contact details for in exchange for a free training, free info on your services, a free discovery call, etc. Whatever you need to do to get people from Instagram onto your email list is really something that you want to consider moving forward. Then I already touched upon Instagram Lives a little bit when we talked about IGTV, and so the same goes here. Consider YouTube Lives instead of Instagram Lives, because those videos will also remain on your channel and you'll be able to optimize those videos for the search results as well, and that means they will gain traction over time and still bring in leads and customers for years to come. Now, the only reason that I would use Instagram Lives is if you have something that is urgent that you need to bring to your followers' attention. The reason that you use Instagram Lives for that is because when you go live on Instagram, a notification will be sent to your audience saying, hey, such and so is going live at this time. And so people would only have to click that notification and hop, they join your live video. So that would be the only reason I would advise someone to go live on Instagram. Anything that is in-depth video content, consider YouTube for that. So a lot of people have this question where they wonder how often they should really be posting on Instagram. And of course, there are the people that are saying once a day or once a week is sufficient, and other people that say you have to post 10 times a day. The thing is that the most important thing with your content marketing efforts is consistency. Like, that's it. If you do not have the ability to post on your feed every single day, then maybe 2 or 3 times a week is sufficient for you if that's something that you can stick to over the next 2-3 years. If you do have the possibility or the ability with you and your team to post 6 times a day, then of course that gives you more chances of a piece of content going viral. That will give you more reach in general. The more content that you post, the higher your reach will be and the quicker your account will grow. That is simply the truth. However, there is no use in you posting 6 pieces of content a day one week and then nothing the other week. That will not help your account growth at all. So consistency is key. So for your feed, realistically, I would say 2 to 3 times a week. Stories, multiple every 24 hours. So 3 at least every 24 hours, so that you always stay top of mind and at the top of the general feed in everyone's app. And then Reels really is like as often as you can. For my own account, I can say that my Reels have 10 times the reach that my stories do. Reels bring in new followers because they reach beyond your own audience, whereas stories are only watched by your own audience. And often even there, like if you are not consistent with it, if you don't post every 24 hours, your reach of stories will just plummet. Make sure that you use your stories every 24 hours, post content on there every 24 hours, Reels as often as possible if you want to grow, if you want to increase your reach. And then your feed posts, it can be like more curated stuff. I would say 2 to 3 times a week at least. And of course, ideally you post as often as you can. But as I said, that consistency is key. So choose something that is manageable for you in the long run. Then before we move on to how you can manage all of this without getting overwhelmed, how you can put some systems into place so that all of this becomes an easier task and doesn't take over your entire day to day, I want to touch upon some tips for your Instagram bio. So I said before that Instagram doesn't have the search capacity or the search algorithm built in as YouTube does, and that's very true. However, you can still leverage the Instagram search algorithm a little bit. So what I mean by that is you can use keywords in your Instagram name. So this is not your Instagram handle, right? So for example, my handle on Instagram is I am Joke de Swift, but my name is Joke de Swift. But you can leverage your name on Instagram with keywords. That being said, for example, if you are a health coach or a fitness coach, you could say Kimberly Fitness Coach Denver, something like that. And that way, when someone goes to the search bar on Instagram, they can type, instead of searching for a specific person on Instagram, they can go, I'm looking for a health coach in this area. And because you have used those keywords in your Instagram name, your profile will pop up. So that is definitely something that you can play around with. Sort of figure out what your ideal customer is looking for. There are multiple ways to talk about a personal trainer. So a health coach can be a personal trainer. It can be a fitness instructor. So figure out what keyword exactly your ideal client is using when they are searching for people with your expertise, and then use those keywords in your Instagram name. Another tip for your Instagram bio is that you really want to use it to convert leads off of Instagram. So you want to find a way to get your followers contact information, like I said, especially an email address, ideally email address, name, phone number. The more information you can get, the better, basically. But you want to find a way to do that from your Instagram profile. So this is also where you can share a link to a free training, a free call, a freebie of some sort that they can download in exchange for their contact information. So make sure that that is also included in your Instagram bio. So at this point, it is normal if you start feeling really overwhelmed. This is a lot of information to process, but also a lot of different content types to balance and juggle and hopefully not drop any balls while you're at it. So how can you manage all of this without it taking over your day-to-day, without it consuming all of your time? Because as a business owner, you do have better things to do with your time than be on Instagram every second of the day. So the answer to your question is gonna be outsourcing and systems. So your content creation, unless you are a content creator, should not be your full-time job. So there is gonna be a point in time where you're gonna have to outsource this and build systems so that you can go from creating one piece of content and then sort of repurposing that as 30 pieces of content, which is something that we at the agency do and what our team does best, right? The ways that you can go about that is really depends on where you are at in business. If you are just starting out, you are going to have to sort of leverage doing it yourself or hiring really cheap freelancers on a site such as Fiverr, for example. But then once you're more established, what I would advise you do is hire an agency that does everything for you. So the benefits of doing it with Fiverr or with sites such as Upwork.com is that you're going to be able to get it done cheaper. That is the truth. But you will be managing all those freelancers yourself. So just even let's say that you want to start a YouTube channel, you would then need someone who knows YouTube SEO to optimize your videos for the search engine. You would need a graphic designer, you would need a video editor, and then probably also still someone who uploads and schedules your videos for you. So that's 4 people just for a YouTube video. That is a lot of people to manage. What happens when someone gets sick? What happens if someone's quality of work is below standard? That is up to you. If you're doing it with different freelancers from cheaper places such as Upwork and Fiverr, you're still going to have to play the project manager role. If that's something that you're cool with and you're like, hey, that's where I'm at in my business right now, that's completely fine. If you are at the point where you're like, I really don't want to do that, that is a waste of my time. That is a time, or that is the moment in your business that you are going to look at outsourcing to an agency. So what we do at the agency is we have all those freelancers, all those creatives in-house. We have an SEO person, we have graphic designers, we have video editors, we have social media managers and copywriters. And so when you work with an agency, you buy an end result, right? You don't hire a person, you buy an end result. So let's say that you hire an agency that does YouTube and social media for you. You will then only have to deliver the footage for the YouTube video, and the agency, much as what we do, will then edit the YouTube video for you, make sure it's uploaded and optimized on your YouTube page, split the thumbnails. They will take that YouTube content and turn it into reels for Instagram, posts on LinkedIn, anything from carousels, graphics, video, anything you would need, the agency will do for you, and they will be accountable for the end result. So that's sort of the 2 ways that you can go, right? You either manage it yourself at a cheaper price by hiring people from Fiverr or Upwork, or you go the agency route, and that way like you win back a lot of your time at a premium price. If that is something that you are interested in at this time, there is a link in the description where you can book a discovery call with me or someone on the team, and we'll gladly talk you through how we can take 1 hour of your time and create 35 pieces of content from it. I hope to talk to you soon on one of those calls. In the meantime, make sure that you check out the other videos that we have somewhere on this screen by now, and then I will see you next time.